good morning, and thank you all for being with us here today as we make an incredible announcement. $5 million coming to the Friends of Grand Rapids Parks to help plant trees like this beautiful river birch that we just planted this morning behind us, all throughout the city of Grand Rapids. We know what an important role trees play in not only the beautification of our city, creating gorgeous green spaces to gather, but also in helping to clean our rivers and streams, in carbon sequestration, and in helping us in the battle against climate change overall. This is such an incredible day. When I got the news, I yelped out loud. I was so excited, and my husband was like, "What happened?" I was like, "We got $5 million to put trees all throughout Grand Rapids." He sort of didn't react, and then he came back about an hour later. He said, "Did you say $5 million? That's a lot of trees." As a mom who lives here in the city of Grand Rapids and uses our city parks every single day, it is so important to me to invest in the work of keeping trees alive and healthy and continuing to grow our tree canopy throughout West Michigan. Friends of Grand Rapids Parks has been cultivating vibrant parks, green spaces, and trees in the Grand Rapids community in order to enhance our thriving park infrastructure since 2008. These federal dollars will go such a long way to increasing our overall tree cover. This grant is welcome news to families like mine and will provide a big boost to the efforts of both Mayor Bliss and Stacy Barr from the Friends of Grand Rapids Parks and all of our friends of Grand Rapids Parks gathered here today to make Grand Rapids an even more special place to live. Now I'm going to turn it over to Stacy, the Executive Director of Grand Rapids Parks, an incredible steward of our environment.
Thank you, Representative Scholten. Thank you to everyone who's here. Representative Scholten, Mayor Bliss, who's been a champion of trees since even before she was a city commissioner, and certainly as a mayor with the 40% urban forestry goal. Thank you to C4, Cream, and Robert, who pushed us, and then Ned's in the crowd today too for community collaboration. Thanks to the Parks and Rec Department, David Marquardt, Joe Sulak, and Nick run world class. We live in a world class city with a world class Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank friends, volunteers, board, and staff, past and present. Friends started in 2008, and this is a group effort. This is a multi-generational, decade-plus effort that got this investment here. And most importantly, to the future of Grand Rapids. There's a proverb that states the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, the next best time is today. And we know the health of a society when the men and women are willing to plant trees whose shade they'll never sit under. And that's what this grant represents. We have an incredible opportunity as well with this grant to correct a historic injustice in Grand Rapids by planting 15,000 trees and committing to habitat restoration in the more than 600 acres of forest that we have in this city for better control of invasive species. The cooling impacts of trees. This was one of the hottest summers on record. There's a 20-degree difference, up to a 20-degree difference between a neighborhood like this that doesn't have trees and neighborhoods that do. And we know that overwhelmingly, urban heat islands impact low-income and communities of color more than any other. This is a solvable problem that in 5 years, we will have the trees in the ground to solve this problem. It's not just stormwater management, it's not just air quality improvement, it adds up to real and documented physical and mental health benefits for the next 100 plus years in Grand Rapids. That is what we are doing when we plant trees. There are 3 large corridors that need the most trees, but these are for everybody, including the opportunity to support the Anishinaabe culture that has been here for a long time, to increase the number of northern white cedars in town, to support the continued expression of ritual and indigenous culture that is here that we have for too long forgotten in our parks and urban forestry. We're excited for community buy-in. We're excited most from C4 to begin to transition from community buy-in to community leadership. In 5 years, urban forestry in America and urban forestry in Grand Rapids is going to look very different because of the work we do here. Mayor Bliss put us on the map to ensure that we can be a city in the woods. Now we're going to be a city in the woods for all, to ensure that we have 15,000 trees, the right tree at the right place at the right time. Thank you so much for being here, and I will now pass it off to Kareem Scales, the co-board chair of C4.
Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all and thank everybody for joining us today for this very momentous occasion. As mentioned, my name is Kareem Scales. I'm one of the co-chairs of C4, which stands for Community Collaboration on Climate Change. And with me today, Robert, going to join me as well, is Mr. Robert Simmons, one of our C4 community ambassadors, who you'll hear remarks from here shortly. So again, much appreciation to you all for joining us today. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to our C4 family. All of our leadership team and our ambassadors. This work is not possible without you all and our intentionality behind our collaborative efforts. I want to recognize Stacy Bear for his partnership and Friends of Grand Rapids Park for their unwavering support. And excited to be in this fight with you all. We got a big task in front of us, time to roll up our sleeves and get to work. I want to also recognize Representative Hillary Scholten for all the work that you've done to uplift this very important funding opportunity. Also recognize Mayor Bliss for your continued leadership and commitment to sustainability here in our city. And lastly, also want to recognize City Commissioner Lisa Knight for her role in helping connect and facilitate this opportunity. This $5 million grant will be vital to provide education and awareness to our community, green jobs, and other opportunities for our community, especially in BIPOC and underserved areas. Climate justice and environmental justice are ground zero for social justice. We want to also recognize that this is an opportunity, and I think that we've got this right, to make sure that the resources are being equitably distributed across our community. And also want to just emphasize that this grant has the potential to enhance our urban and community forestry and lead to a greener, more sustainable Grand Rapids. I want to share with you all just a powerful quote. As I was preparing for this today, I wanted to share with you all a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He wrote this in a letter from the Birmingham jail in April of 1963. And what he says is, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The racial inequality crisis is intertwined with the climate crisis. And if we don't work on both, we will succeed at neither. I want to recognize that we stand on the shoulders of so many who have spearheaded this environmental climate justice movement long before C4. I want to recognize Dr. Dorcetta Taylor, Dr. Robert Bullard, and also the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, who we continue to have guide us in our pursuit of justice. With that said, I wanted to say we're extremely excited for C4 to be a partner on this initiative and looking forward to continuing with this great work. Thank you. And I'll pass it over to Mr. Robertson.
Guys, I'm a little untraditional, so I don't have a whole speech outline. But as I was doing this work and we were putting together the game plan for what we're going to say, the partners that we're going to have on board, I was thinking of Captain Planet. You guys remember the TV show Captain Planet? Remember, in order for him to come out, all 5 of them had to come together and use their powers together. That's what's happened here. It was a collaboration of all the different powers to be able to represent us on the federal level, the state level, and the county level. And here's the success that we got, guys. I'm not going to hold you up to what's more than that. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness, what a great day in Grand Rapids. I cannot tell you how excited I was last week when I got the call from Friends of Grand Rapids Parks and Rich App letting me know about this incredible grant award. And I am going to add my thanks to Congresswoman Scholten. We are so fortunate to have her leadership in DC. She is a strong champion for Grand Rapids. Thank you. I'm delighted to be joined by our Parks Director and just in our entire Parks Department and Forestry Department. They're just so exceptional in the work that they do. And then to have 2 organizations that I've had the real privilege and honor to support since their inception, OC4 as well as Friends of Grand Rapids Parks, which will always have a very dear spot in my heart. So I'm just going to share with you a little bit because I always, and maybe it's just because I've now been on the commission for 18 years, but I find myself always thinking back to what brought us together today and all the people who work so hard in our community. And this really is about community. It's about everyone that has come before us, that has worked to make sure that our community is a greener, healthier place for everyone, especially individuals who live in some of our most disinvested communities. It was almost 18 years ago that our city started to be decimated by the emerald ash borer, where we had entire neighborhoods and streets that lost beautiful mature trees. And it was the community that stepped up and said, we have to figure out a way to start to replant and replace, but also how do we think creatively about treating trees that are mature? And that's what we started to do. I was fortunate enough to, when I was a city commissioner, to serve on the Urban Forest Committee. That sounds super boring to some people, but I loved it. And I was a part of creating our urban forest management company, and then supporting the great works that Friends does as they get out there and help us plant trees in our public spaces, our parks, and our public spaces. And that's really what today is about. It's about all of these relationships and connections that have been built for years, coming together in this culmination of an incredible grant that will be a catalyst to move us forward and get us a whole lot closer to that 40% tree canopy. That is our goal. And I remember when we set that goal, people thought we were crazy. They're like, how are you ever going to get 40% tree canopy in a city that is largely built out? We know that we need to plant trees in public spaces, but we also need to encourage people to plant trees on private spaces if we're going to reach that 40%. This grant gets us a whole lot closer to reaching that goal in public spaces. And we'll continue to work together as a community to encourage people to plant trees on private land as well. So I'm just really delighted to be here today. This announcement means so much to me, but it also means so much to our entire community. And I just am unbelievably grateful for the people that helped make it happen and the people who are going to get out there and help us plant these trees. So thank you so much.